Hello and welcome to Uncommon Ground. I'm Talal and I love talking to people who challenge the system, the status quo, and who are rebels with a cause. Today's guest is Antoinette Lattouf, journalist, author, human rights advocate, and someone I've had the privilege of knowing for many, many years. You may know her from the headlines, but what sets Antoinette apart is her wit, warmth, and an unshakable sense of purpose. She's a multi-award-winning journalist, named one of AFR's 100 Women of Influence, a TEDx speaker, a mental health advocate, and co-founder of Media Diversity Australia. It's a real honour to bring you this conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Do you remember when I first came into your consciousness?
Oh, gosh.
When you actually
Yeah.
remember who I was, because you're much younger than me.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll get into the story of how we know each other. But when did I first come into your consciousness?
The Yassine family writ large
Yeah.
for me, was my whole childhood. I remember, but whether it's you specifically, I don't recall. Probably as I became more interested in social issues and political issues, and that was young, like 10 or 11, and I realised I wanted to have a further education.
Yeah.
I remember Mum always would speak about you and say, ask Talal his advice.
Yes.
Because to be fair, I didn't know anybody who went to university.
Yeah.
I didn't know like your parents. My parents were pulled out of school very young.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say maybe 9.
Yeah.
At you individually.
Yeah.
And that's not to take away from you as an individual, but as you both know,
sure,
we come from large families.
Yeah,
and
sure,
so
sure.
it's just like one of the Yassines.
So I remember quite specifically your father,
Yeah.
Badwi Shihab, saying, I've got this daughter who's like you. She's super amazing. And I reckon you were
I
about
wish he'd said that to me.
10 or 11. And you came up to me in the whole group, and actually asked me about what being a lawyer was like.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, where were we?
You were in your new house in Maryland. You had just moved into it.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, so I knew the Shihab girls as just this conglomerate of girls.
Yes.
They're like
5 of us.
5 of you,
Yeah.
and then 2 boys.
Yeah.
And I remember that. My next recollection of you was when I got a call, because I had dealt with your mum and dad quite a bit
Yes.
in the minute, but I got a call out of nowhere saying, and I'd seen you a bit online somewhere, and said, I'm Antoinette Badwi's daughter, because I used to pick up the phone.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
used to all pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And I'm at UTS, and I'm doing this, and I need some help finding a job.
Yes.
That's the next time. So
Yes.
for me, it was,
But there was young labour in between.
yeah.
You helped me get into young labour. Maybe I was 14 or 13.
I don't remember that. I just,
I was working at a cake shop.
Yeah.
So at that age, I was 13 or 14.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was, she's smart, he's smart. They're interested in social issues and potentially law. I don't know how, but I went to a young labour event because of you. And then at university, I would have been 18 or 19.
Yes, that's right.
And there are no gateways. There are no dads playing golf together in our, in our generation or our community. And so I was like, how on earth am I going to get into this industry? And you actually helped. Your introduction landed me my first unpaid article in Sydney Morning Herald.
Yes, with Nadia Jamal.
With Nadia Jamal.
Yes, that's right, yes.
And somebody read that and then got me on SBS Inside as a guest.
Yeah.
And then I got a job on that show when I was 19 or 20.
All right. So I remember the intro a bit. I remember the article because you sent it to me.
Yes.
But I don't remember anything in between. So, but we're talking about ages ago here.
This is 21 years ago.
21 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I guess that takes us back to our history. And that's my mum, my dad, your mum's and dad's best friends. But it brings up a really interesting story about how we actually got to know each other.
Yeah.
So without being too cute about it, I remember you as a little girl because we lived together.
Yeah.
And I think I told you the story. You told me the story back
Yeah.
about how our parents met and what happened.
Yes. Well, I think you know it better than I do. Then I had to go and check it with Dad because it seems so wild.
Did he confirm my story?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, good. That's good evidence.
So the scene is that you've come as a refugee from Lebanon. So did my parents,
Yes.
both from the north of Lebanon. But anybody who knows much about
Yeah.
The Civil War, it was largely sectarian,
Yes.
politically and religious sectarian violence.
Yes, it was. Yes.
And quite clear and divided lines on religious grounds.
Yes.
Now, we are Muslim and Christian.
Yes.
And so it was unthinkable then, even probably now,
Yeah.
to have two dads meeting
Yes.
of religions that are fighting each other
Yes.
overseas,
Yes.
and then come home. My dad just announced to my mum, as you
Yeah,
told me, that
he just
this
announced it.
family
Yeah.
are going to move in with us because
Yeah.
your family was Povo, my family was Povo.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Well, that's
and-
excellent
and
that he confirmed it. It
He
wasn't
He did.
making up memories. So the story goes that they were at Granville Bakery
yeah, so in Western Sydney.
in Western Sydney, and they were lining up, and my dad literally bumped into your dad, my dad Ali Yassin, your dad Badwi Shiha, and they started chatting just as you would.
Yeah.
And they're from a similar area. They're from the north of Lebanon.
Yeah.
But at the time, which gives it great context. So I'll tell the story as I know it and then give the context. And then they bumped into each other and he said, so what are you doing? Well, I'm looking for a house to rent. I can't find one. And your dad simply suggests to my dad that, look, I've got a big house. It doesn't fit my family. I've got plenty of room.
Yeah.
Why don't you move in with us? And my dad says, yes, of course. And they then move in together and we live in the same house, living aside having two families and wives and husbands and
Yeah.
kids in the same house. And the difficulty that is at the
Yeah.
normal times, I mean, just generally. And we lived together about 3 years in the same house.
Yeah.
And so now to give the context. The context was in the Lebanese Civil War where it was at its peak hate and animosity. And that was where Muslims and Christians divided in not even a religious, just sectarian power way, were killing each other based on their ID. So there was checkpoints. If you were, it was a Muslim checkpoint. If you were Christian, they would literally just murder you, and vice versa. And it was like, I guess, bring it forward to post 2020 or the Palestinian-Israeli issue. Right now, it's like a Palestinian family living with an Israeli family as they dispute. It was like that kind of level of visceral discomfort. And not only did we live together, it was a great experience. Not everywhere liked it. It was an issue of.
Well, my mum didn't, from your memory.
Yeah, your
wasn't it?
mum
My mum
hated it. My
first
mum
was like, what
couldn't.
on earth what is he
Well,
doing?
no, not at first. For a long time.
Yeah, right.
Your dad I would hear him argue with your mum. What are these people doing here? How could you do this to us?
To be fair, mum experienced sectarian violence firsthand.
Yeah.
Dad didn't. So
Yeah.
I think mum's wounds were fresher. Her trauma was fresher. And probably her hate, to be fair. Like,
But I think, I don't even look at it that way. I think your mum was right.
yeah, right. Yeah.
I think your mum was right. At the time, my mum just accepted it and just
Yeah.
kept quiet. But at the time, it was visceral. It was
Yeah.
visceral because your dad and my dad liked each other and they were simple people.
Yeah.
And they were simple principles. And it was a hateful time. People were actually dying that we knew, that we both knew. And your dad would have to go out into your mum's family, the Nader family, and his family from Banda village and defend.
Yeah.
Continuously. To this day, your dad does that, and my dad had to do the same.
But I think that has made us who we are
Yeah, sure.
as people
100%.
and set us on our trajectory
About
about
100%. Stick to your principles.
stick to your principles. They are often universal.
Yeah.
And understand how power and oppression works and who suffers.
But it takes a special kind of person.
Yeah.
So when the two tribes, however you so describe them, countries, peoples, religions go to war and they split, it takes a very special a set of people to say, I don't buy that.
Yeah.
I'm not, and it's happening, it's in the news, it's visceral, it's close.
Yeah.
And that's why I think your mum was right. I think your mum was like saying, how could we do this? This is like outrageous because they'd be listening to the news and there'd be an invasion of some village or town and be crying and
Yeah.
their helplessness and vice versa. And then they'd have to come and cook in the same kitchen.
Yeah. But they're still best friends till this day.
They're best
they
friends.
Ring each other
It
every day.
really brought them together. Really brought them together. And so that also just takes us, I guess, to the next issue, which I think would be very interesting to a lot of people listening to podcasts. And is it time that you declared that you are a secret Muslim?
Oh,
like in
gosh.
that time, because everybody
Everybody
assumes
thinks
you
I
are.
am.
Yeah.
Look, and I think everybody assumes I am for a couple of reasons. On the one hand, for a long time, since post-September 11, there has just been the Middle East writ large is just
Yeah.
framed as synonymous with Islam.
Yes, that's right.
And I'd even go further because it has been politicized, framed with as a threat or as
Yes.
terrorism or whatever. And people don't realize that the history of Christianity in the Middle East. So there's that. On the other hand, it's also because I have been vocal about my support for Palestinian human rights. And people must think, well, the only reason she cares about journalists being shot in the head or kids being blown up is because she's Muslim and the majority in Gaza are Muslim.
Right.
So it's not it's not true. But I get the Islamophobic hate directed at me. And so, as you would know, Talal, I reported one of the men who was abusing and threatening me. And my first port of call of bringing him to the authorities was the Islamophobia register.
Right,
And as I
okay.
was lodging I was like, this is like dark, but also hilarious. I'm getting Islamophobic hate.
Yeah.
Um,
Given the history we just described
I'm
of the
getting-
civil war in Lebanon, where it was clearly Christian Muslim, like
Yeah.
that was it, right?
And if I wanted to be even more sectarian, the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, played a key role in the civil war. And in my village, in my mother's village in particular, when she was going through the rubble and trying to find survivors after a church was bombed by the PLO,
Yes.
she has, if I wanted to have reason to have ideological, religious, or nationality hate,
Yes.
but I don't. I'm grounded by humanity, principles, and human rights.
Absolutely.
And so I think the mind just boggles that I would try and stand up for people that aren't me. And so, do I declare sure if you'll have me?
Well, let's start. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to. So I guess why for me, it's an important point. It talks to who you are as a person, but it also talks to the simplicity in which us Australians understand the outside world and the caricatures.
Yes, yeah.
And the caricatures and the deep misunderstanding of what is happening in Palestine, what is happening in Lebanon. And I mean, can be complex, but it's also really simple.
Yeah.
It's really simple. At the end of the day, when the powers fight, innocent people die.
Yes.
And
women and children suffer disproportionately, and that's what we know.
As they always do.
Yeah.
As they always do. And so what we're describing in our personal histories together, then because I would say to anybody, like if you did a survey right now and you conducted a survey and said, even as all the things that you've done in public come to life in the public debate, if I was to put a survey out and say, what religion do you think Antoinette Lattouf is? And Muslim, Christian, Jewish, or other.
Yeah.
I reckon 95% will say Muslim.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people are trying to figure it out because in the Google search, I see what the top Google search. The second one is Antoinette Lattouf religion.
Really?
People were like
Oh,
dying
wow.
to know what my
Okay.
religion is.
Okay.
And so I
And
think
you say right-wing Christian philanthropist?
phalangist.
Sorry, yes,
Phalangist.
phalangist. Yeah.
Yeah, but so people are obviously, super keen. But, it's not what guides my, it might underscore my faith, might underscore my beliefs. But I do feel that decency and ethics and human rights are universal.
100%. And then let me not say, well, you are a Christian and you're a practicing Christian,
Yes.
and you're proud of it and I'm proud of it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
just,
yeah.
Just to be very
Yeah,
clear.
yeah,
But it's the
absolutely.
misunderstanding
Yeah.
that people have and the one-dimensional view of the world. You're with us
Yes.
or against us.
Yeah.
And in Australia in particular, in the media, in corporate sector, in the political sector, there's that triangle of that misunderstanding, and it's sort of reflected in the things we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because you're someone who happens to believe in human rights and has gone out there and always believed and truly acted on the causes that you believe in and have taken that risk. And it's not always been welcomed. It's not always been welcomed. I mean, you wrote a book, How to Influence White People and Infuriate Them. What was the title?
How to lose friends and influence white people.
Not
So-
infuriate white people.
Well, I mean, it probably did both things.
Yeah.
It did both things, but it was a play off Dale Carnegie's seminal How to Win Friends and Influence People. And then, which has been incredibly well received. It's applied to workplaces, largely like corporate psychology. And I was like, well, when it comes to change and when it comes to inequality and when it comes to racism and it comes to human rights, these things make you very unpopular, particularly in a colonial settler country like Australia, where we like to pretend that We have this, we use words like Harmony Day and multiculturalism and tolerance. And we did once had a policy of assimilation, and we use all these euphemisms to downplay the reality. And so I think I just did it because I had seen those who'd come before me, like Adam Goodes, the AFL player, former Australian of the Year, Indigenous man who spoke out against racism and the abhorrent treatment he got, Yasmin Abdul Majid, African Muslim who dared say something about our beloved Anzacs and the absolute Murdoch assassination, character assassination, drove her out of the country. And so I looked at power and change and allyship, but also the cost of it and the pushback, which really just helped prepare me for what came
What's to
next.
come? Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
What's to come.
Yeah. And so I guess, and what was the reaction to the book, like in general? Because you also engaged on a group that you founded called Media Diversity Australia.
Yes.
And about getting diversity in media with different views and different angles, and trying to like really build on Australian multiculturalism. Yeah. And our strong belief in it, and that it really needs to be reflected. I mean, but those two together, they do go together, because in terms of your being a rebel with a cause, so to speak, that was the cause. How was the book received? How did you think the book was received?
Look, it got... People always laughed nervously at the title.
Yeah.
They weren't sure.
Yeah.
And there was curiosity. I think it made people curious, some people uncomfortable. Yeah. Based on the reviews, the majority of people who seemed to be reading it were allies or people of colour or change makers themselves. Yeah. But I did get people approach me who you wouldn't expect, some old bloke called Richard, old white bloke called Richard who found it interesting. Yeah. So I think, and the reviews were good, and I think it was by and large well received. But since then, since that book came out in 2022,
2022.
Yeah, 2022.
Wow, it feels like it came out in 2012.
Yeah,
so much has happened.
So much has happened.
2022.
Yeah,
all right,
and
okay.
so there's been an enormous pushback. Yeah. In many ways led by Donald Trump against diversity, against inclusion. Go woke, go broke.
Yeah.
And I think that's just emboldened corporations who, to be fair, had a very surface level, very veneer buy-in to real change. It was like, well, we'll have International Women's Day and we'll have Harmony Day and we'll give you cupcakes and it'll be lovely and you do one panel, then shut the hell up.
And we'll have some hummus with the bully, and ain't that great?
And that's it.
Yeah,
and that's it. And so now I feel a lot of those policies, a lot of that language has been scrapped.
Yeah. So they don't even pretend.
But they don't even pretend anymore.
And
in some ways, like my view is begin to change because I'm like, well, the corporates and the ABC and others, they did all of the posters, they did the hashtag, but was there any actual change? And so when there's that performative allyship or performative change, it does two things. It makes people who aren't affected get frustrated because they're like, oh, we have to fill out this form, we have to do this other webinar. So there was this kind of skepticism amongst those who don't want change because the status quo suits them. And then people like me, who would then later, as we will discuss, be called a diversity hire or a mistake or a troublemaker or this. Yeah. And then we felt we were set up to fail. Yeah. We were brought in under false pretenses or under not a real buy-in. Yeah. And there are a whole chorus of people like quietly cheering for you to fail so that I don't have to do this webinar anymore or pretend to care. Part of me is like, well, maybe just be honest.
Yeah, be straightforward. Just
and your honesty is that you don't care.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can talk about what, depending on the day, what we think about it.
I know. I'm pretty angry. I'm angry today.
Yeah,
so
you're
today
angry today.
I'm blanket saying
let's
you don't care.
Angry, okay. So, Antoinette, can you, going back, I guess, a little bit, only one step is, what's your earliest childhood memory that you can remember?
Oh, gosh.
What's the first thing when you came? I can remember mine. But what was yours?
It's probably the little fibro house that I spent the first half of my life in Guildford. Mm-hmm. Lots of people, lots of food.
Fibro house in Guildford, yes.
Fibro house in Guildford, long hallway. Well, it felt long to my little legs.
Yeah.
An inordinate amount of relatives or whatever open, and me, someone screaming out something for me to do to help pull my weight. That's my
How old do you
memory.
think you were?
I think I was probably 7. I was probably 7.
Yeah.
But I think what also, do you
know that memory is when we lived together?
I don't remember living together because I would have been too young.
I know you don't.
Yeah.
But that's that memory, because I know where you moved to, where you lived. You lived in off Woodville Road,
Yeah, yes,
And then you
afterwards.
moved, so that's when you were about 7.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Or thereabouts. But I mean, it could be in any house, actually.
Yeah, it was always just food, lots of noise, lots of people, lots of food.
Yeah.
That was my memory. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. My first memory was when I was about 9.
Yeah.
And 8.5, 9, because I was born in 72. And it was about 1980. And all of a sudden, just one day, I just sort of come out of a cocoon and starting, like, your identity sort of.
Were you in
formed.
Lebanon still?
No. I came when I was 4, so I was here. I was in Australia.
Okay.
I was in MacArthur Street, Guildford, which is up the road.
Yeah.
About then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I might be getting some of the dates wrong, but it was about 1980. Okay. And from 81 onwards, I've got a clear memory of.
Do you have photographs of your childhood?
I do.
Because that helps.
I have a lot.
I don't have any.
Really? Should show you mine. You'll probably say, I know that.
I don't
place.
have any. I think the first photograph, I'm like 8 or something. I barely have any.
Yeah, no.
And so I think memories are often aided by.
So the difference, I think, is I'm the first child.
Yeah, right. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And the first child,
fifth.
you're the
So
fifth.
like
They're kind of like, that's kind of like that time. So the first child have a lot of photos.
Yeah.
I guess that's the earliest memory, and I want to go to one of the most recent. So, grew up in Western Sydney, went to UTS.
We both went to public schools. We both went to pretty rough public schools.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which one did you go to?
Maryland's High.
Maryland's High, yeah?
Yes. But then I went to Girraween.
Girraween.
Girraween's
a good school.
Yeah, I went to a selective school for 11 and 12.
Yeah,
it's still state. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's a selective school.
Yeah.
Smart people go there.
Correct.
Yeah, I went to Granville Boys High School.
Yeah.
Very street smart people go there. But that's it.
That's right.
There's
colourful people go
colourful. There are about 5 or 10 of us kind of went to university, did things with our lives, and the rest pretty much either ended up incarcerated or to be incarcerated.
Yeah.
It is much better today, but
yes.
we did go to pretty rough schools and rough areas. But you took that UTS, worked in the media, then wrote a book, and then about pretty much the same time, Media Diversity Australia.
Yeah, no, I'd been running that for about 5 years. That informed the book as well.
Right.
Yeah, so I'd kind of taken on a leadership role.
So tell me about that. Talk me through, because this is, for me, what I think the rebel with a cause.
Yes.
It is a thread as we get to what happened most recently.
Yeah, so I'd been in the industry for about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I tried to do all the good things and achieve. So I was at SBS, I went to ABC, then I was the first Arab female on commercial television at 10. Yeah. And I did all the things, ticked all the boxes. And then I was like, I don't really feel that I can do the stories I want to do. And I still feel that I'm the only one in the room that's non-white. And it hasn't changed from the beginning. And for the first part of your career, you don't want to make a noise. You don't want to complain because you're so grateful to be there.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful. I got in. I'm so grateful to have gone to university. I'm so grateful to have gotten a job in the industry. I'm so grateful to be on screen. And so, but then when your gratitude starts to wane and you're like, well, actually, this is not really... Yeah. I'm not really bringing all that I can to my craft. And at that point, I was like, well, nothing's changing in the industry. Yeah. Outside, when you walk outside of the building, we know how increasingly diverse Australia is. There's this real disconnect. We'd also, and you had experienced it too, we were at the receiving end of media coverage of of September 11th, the demonising of so-called Middle Eastern gangs.
And all the Muslims in the country?
The Muslims,
Christian,
all the Muslims.
All Arabs,
Muslim immigration a problem, the Cronulla riots, and it became abundantly clear the way in which the media can inflame, provoke, and sort of damage it does. And so my idea with a friend of mine who's Chinese Australian, Isabel, was to start a not-for-profit to go, well, we can be the storytellers. We can try and shift who gets to tell the stories, who gets to be editors, who gets to be newsroom leaders. And so that was the genesis of Media Diversity Australia.
Has it worked?
It hasn't.
Hasn't?
It's been really hard. Yeah. It's been really hard because we did a first round of research. Yeah. Because we knew that the trajectory was they'll get people like me in, or Indigenous people, or Asians, or Africans, and be like, great, look at all our cute cadets. Look at all our this, great photo opportunity. We identified that there wasn't an ability to go from junior level roles, from kind of mid-career to anything senior. And we know that's where the power lies.
Of course.
And so we did research, which was probably one of the things I'm most proud of. I partnered with 4 universities, and it was called Who Gets to Tell Australian Stories, in which it analysed the cultural and gender makeup of boards of all networks. and then it looked at who was on screen. It looked at attitudes. And so we got a kind of a multi-tiered perception, or not perception, a snapshot, which had never been recorded before. 2 years later, we repeated the research.
Right.
Not a lot had changed,
Yes.
particularly not at that top level.
Right.
And I think if we did it again now, I mean, I've since left Media Diversity Australia, I would say that it has gotten worse.
It's gone backwards.
Even worse.
Yeah, right.
So there were some improvements in some areas a couple of years on. But at the moment, I know anecdotally and personally, an exodus of culturally diverse
Right.
people from the industry. And a lot of that has to do with the way in which the unfolding genocide in Gaza has been reported and the punishment served out to anybody who dares questions the editorial choices.
But I'd imagine it's not just cultural, it's a lot of voices.
Yes, a lot. But I mean, we're already a small amount of...
Yeah. And then you
then you just go, I'm not doing this. I'm out.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty telling, and I guess that segues into, I guess the next chapter as to, when you did a gig at our famous ABC.
Yes.
Can you tell me what happened?
Okay. So I want to give you a bit of there was a year in between being at Media Diversity Australia, like leaving Media Diversity Australia, in that, the not-for-profit baby had legs of its own. And I had decided I don't want to lead anymore.
Yes.
I just want to do my craft. I want to write. I want to be irreverent. I want to, I have a pretty wicked sense of humor. I think I deserve. I think I deserve to use the other parts of my identity. That's not survival. And so I was enjoying writing satirical articles for Sydney Morning Herald. I wrote and performed some comedic skits with some comedians. I was doing gig work, and I was really enjoying it. And so that was a really nice 8 to 9 months.
It's when you became talent.
Yes, and we were talking about it. You were trying to tell me. We had lunch one day, and you were like, "Antoinette, you're now talent. You're not." I was like, "No, I'm
You're not a journo.
Yes,
you're
you're
not
talent.
a journo.
Yes.
You're talent now." And you're like, "I'm a journo. What are you putting me down? Like, talent are models, and that's great, thank you. But I'm a professional. No. You're a talent content writer."
Exactly. And so I really leaned into that, and I enjoyed the freedom because I think a really inclusive landscape allows you to be yourself at all dimensions of yourself, not just the survival fighter one.
Yeah. Bring yourself.
Bring yourself, your sense of humor, your perspective, your thoughts, your all of it. And so I actually was really enjoying that talent time of my career.
Sure.
Then the October 7 attacks had, in which a mass, devastation of lives lost. Yeah. And then the 20 or so months of horrendous, barbaric, murderous attacks on Palestine, and then Lebanon, and now Iran. Yes. And I guess for us, or for people who have an interest in the region, who knows that there was an October 6th, there was a 1949, there was a 1967, and understand the greater context of the colonialism, the Nakba, the apartheid state, the ethnic cleansing, it became very clear very quickly how our media would frame and report what was happening. Notwithstanding that.
And you're part of that media.
Yes, still part of that media. Still hosting a podcast, still doing presenting work, still writing columns, still doing my piecemeal kind of gig economy talent work. I had locked in, which I had done the previous year, hosting ABC Radio in the lead up to Christmas, which is a magazine-style program. You play music, you take calls, you talk about Christmas decorations, you talk about holidays. It's all very light and fluffy and lovely. And I was loving it.
Very social.
Yes. And
I heard that before. I've always wondered, why were you doing that? Because you're so thoughtful, thinking, coherent.
But I just told you, I was trying to lean into the fun, light parts of my personality. I was like, you know what? Like,
I can have some fun here.
I can have some fun. I can play
Light
Michael
and breezy.
Bublé. I can play light and breezy. I can be witty. I can be this. And I was really enjoying it.
Right.
I was really enjoying being able to be fun and irreverent and not always so thoughtful and deep and complex and whatever. And I was 3 days into that contract when I was called into my manager's office, and actually the 3 managers above me were there, and I was...
The 3 managers above you?
Yeah, they were all there in the room to tell me that because I'd shared a Human Rights Watch post and because I hadn't listened to a directive, which was untrue, and that played out in court, and my manager there was like, well, no, I didn't give her that directive. Like she
Right,
said it then
okay.
and there at the time, but
Okay.
they were in a big rush to get me out the door.
Yeah.
And so I was asked to collect my bags and leave the building.
Right.
And my producers, my team, were shocked because we were planning the rest of the shows.
Right.
The backstory to that is there was a campaign which I had been made aware of
Right.
after my first shift that I was being watched.
So this is casual. 5 shifts.
Casual,
Right?
5 shifts.
5 shifts.
Talking about Christmas pudding, Michael Bublé staying cool in winter,
Right.
the fact that there was a cat for the first time on the Sydney to Hobart, like really, really tough stuff.
Yeah, really, really big issues. Yeah.
But it was December 2023.
Right.
It was a couple of months after the October 7 attacks, and the enormous disproportionate response, the war crimes, and I did not shy away from reporting on the war crime, or not reporting, or just amplifying them on my social media. I wasn't covering it in a journalistic sense per se.
Sure.
I was just amplifying on my social media. The post that got me into trouble was a Human Rights Watch post with my words, HRW, Human Rights Watch, reporting starvation as a tool of war.
Right.
The same piece of content and headline that the ABC had already twice reported on.
Right. Okay.
But there was an orchestrated pro-Israel lobby attack to get me off air, which worked.
Right. And so once you left the building,
I was shocked and I was crying and I was.
Were you expecting it? Like, did that come out of the blue?
Well, I had been warned on the Monday, which no one ever should. When you think about someone's psychological safety, that I was being. That they were furious that I was on air or angry. I can't remember the words. And that there'd been a raft of complaints about just having selected me as a person, not
as an individual.
As an individual. Anything I did, no, the show's great. You're sounding great. Everything's good. You're doing, auto brief. Well done. So nothing to do with my performance, but to do with who I was and my views.
Yes.
And I suspect the ABC thought that was the end of that. That they would just treat me like crap, and I would go. Oh, and before I'd gotten home, there was an article homepage, and then the next day's front page of the Australian because they'd been given a heads up about my sacking. So there was
so it was orchestrated with the enemy. So just to be clear, ABC and Australia are enemies.
The Australian fills most of its pages with hate pieces about the ABC.
Yeah. So the enemies got together.
Yeah.
To make sure that you were buried, well and truly buried.
I think it was an attempt, and the leaks from one of the WhatsApp groups orchestrating against me. One of the things was like, let's make her unemployable.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely an attempt to assassinate my career and my character.
Has it worked?
It hasn't.
Hasn't?
It nearly did.
Nearly did. Well,
it was designed to.
Well, definitely designed to. Like in the case that I obviously followed very closely, says the former, I think, MD or CEO, Anderson.
MD? Yeah, David Anderson, former.
Hiring Lattouf, a mistake, ABC boss. I mean, how did that make you feel?
Oh, gosh, so much that came out of their subpoenaed emails, their language, their insights. God, it was an absolute... It was an assault on me personally, but what I really felt, it was like journalism and integrity and independence was on trial. Because there we have the managing director saying not only the managing director, some of the other leadership, because ABC has many layers of managers and leadership, unable to cite the editorial policy, unable to contextualize the social media policy, unsure of whether I got given a directive or not. They all knew I had to go. They couldn't quite understand why. And, I was described as an activist, as though that was some kind of dirty word. And they're like, well, why was she an activist? Ida Bostros was asked. Oh, I just know from the colours of the sky and she gave her like, it's the vibe, it's the Constitution kind of answer. Nobody could actually talk about why I was her identity had nothing to do with it, even though they talked about me being Lebanese in emails and... that my social media pages were supposedly full of hatred, anti-Semitic hatred. When asked and when pressed about David Anderson, when he was pressed, what exactly amounted to anti-Semitic hatred on Antoinette's social media pages? The most senior editor of the ABC's response was, she said the unlawful occupation of Palestine, which is a fact.
Yes.
It is a fact that's recognised by the Australian government.
Yes, it is. Yes.
And so I just was like, the other complete affront to me and my identity was when I was asked, well, the opening argument from the ABC, which they later retracted, was to prove that the Lebanese race existed.
Oh, wow. The Lebanese race existed.
existed.
Okay, we should withdraw the hummus tabbouleh from all
was
these
just-
restaurants around
I was
Sydney,
just
like it doesn't exist, right?
What? Because it's like, well, we kind of dismissed her unfairly on the basis of her race, because what is race? It's a social construct.
Yeah.
Prove it. I was like, I don't know if you want, like, do you want a nose hair? Do you want to test the dimensions of my skull? Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
They then withdrew that argument. But when David Anderson was pressed again and again about whether he believes that the Lebanese race exists, Arabic is the third most common language in the country. We have a very large diaspora in this country.
Indeed.
He said, I have not yet formed a conclusion.
Oh, he's still... But you didn't know any of these people, right? Like, you didn't know, obviously, Ida Buttrose.
Ida Buttrose and I had worked together on a panel show at Network 10 years prior.
Yeah.
David Anderson had never met him.
And the 2-3 under him, management in between.
Middle dudes, never I don't
met
know
them.
them.
Yeah.
Those three in the room with me, I knew them to some extent. My direct manager, I knew her and really liked her.
Yeah.
And I still like her.
Right,
And I still
right.
she was honest, she was honourable. So I still have warm, warm feelings towards her. But these were like kind of faceless people to me.
They were like the people, when you started Media Diversity Australia, you were trying to get people to make it more inclusive to go into that management.
Yeah.
So what happened to you doesn't happen so easily. Because they actually have no context of who you are and what you do, and
I
you can
just
be
felt like
painted as a
saying,
caricature.
guys, I wish you'd read my book. I'd also wish you'd looked at the reports we produced, the Who Gets to Tell Australian Story and the 2.0 version, because I highly, highly, highly doubt that if the board wasn't so monolithic, that they would approve such a stupid legal argument that I have to prove my race exists.
Yeah.
Or that, I just think surely someone in a line of management that wasn't entirely Anglo-Celtic would be like, hold a second, guys. I think we've got something wrong here.
This is going to be a
Hold
problem.
a second, guys. This is going to be a problem.
Yeah, this is going to be a problem.
This is going to be a problem for every other diverse First Nations staff member, for the almost 50% of Australians who were born overseas or have parents born overseas who are our audience.
Right.
This is going to be a problem.
Yeah, sure.
And it's when you don't have those different thinkers in the room to go, hold a second, guys. Did somebody not think this through? That the kind of display, which became a kind of worse. It was a terrible comedy that they didn't realise that
before they put the position, but they actually withdrew it.
But by then the damage is done.
Yeah, they made the comment.
By then the damage was done. They withdrew it after staff held a meeting, after community groups.
Like the ABC staff?
Yes, because they were appalled. There are a lot of staff who, because it was Arab, Lebanese, Middle Eastern, obviously there's a lot of staff who identify as that, but just broadly, like what's to say that another cultural group is going to be denied their existence. And so staff called a huge meeting, community and religious groups got involved. And so they withdrew it because of pressure.
So talking about pressure, and this is a question, that's why I call this Uncommon Ground, because I'm really interested in when you made that decision, and only you could have made that decision to say, stuff it. I've been embarrassed. They've terminated me. I'm going to take them on. And I was there for part of that journey, but not really the journey. Yeah. Because it's what actually was going through your mind when you said, stuff, I'm going to take the system on.
Okay. I guess it was probably only a couple of hours after I gotten home. Right. I was like, I'm not taking this for a few reasons. Yeah. I'm not taking it because I have worked so hard for my career. I have tried to do the whole change on the inside. I've tried to do the research and the advocacy and the partnerships. I've tried to learn from what's happened to Stan Grant, what's happened to Yasmin Abdul-Majid. I've spoken about it. I've done so much to try, and I could almost. So yes, it was like it was a personal thing that kind of essentially trying to bury my reputation and my career. Also, I knew that it would have enormous flow-on effects to others in the industry who would be scared off, who won't enter, who will leave, who would be silenced. But more importantly this is against the backdrop of enormous, unprecedented human rights atrocities.
Indeed, yes.
And so it was whatever suffering I have, whatever money I lose or career I lose, what I will do is be able to highlight the institutional failure of an independent, what should be an independent ABC. That's important.
Yeah, sure.
But the fact that people are going to be too scared, journalists or people in the public eye, to share uncomfortable facts about children being burnt alive, children being starved to death, journalists being sniped in the head. And it was their pain and suffering that made me go, okay, whatever I'm going to cop, it's not going to be fun, but I can cop it.
So you're a rebel with a cause, serving others effectively.
Well, if it was just for me, honestly, if it was just
Yeah.
for me, let's take the genocide aside, and if it was just some jerk of a boss was a bit rude to me and whatever, and they were, I even say I would have probably just taken it.
Yeah, but I want to ask one more thing, because it is one thing to intellectually and emotionally take a stand, but when you take on the ABC legally, financially, in the media, there were those times, and I've been there for some of them, only very few of them. It is really taking on the corporate powers at their height. I mean, Ita Buttrose is a household name in Australia. En's the MD of, ABC.
No, he'd been there for many years. Yeah.
And so that took guts, but it also took, I'm willing to gamble it all. And that for me is grit, and so it's what's going, because everybody faces the issues, but never that existential, really, in that sense.
I think because my why was very clear, why I was doing it, but also I had this enormous belief in myself and my integrity, that I didn't do anything wrong, that I'm a good journalist, that they were lucky to have me.
Yes.
So I think it's backing myself, which I think it's easier to say, but it's actually hard to do.
It is very hard.
It's actually very hard to do.
It is hard to
But
do.
having a very clear why, I am doing this because the ABC should be independent. I am doing this because I deserve better treatment. And I am doing this because we are witnessing the most heinous human rights atrocities.
Indeed.
And we're being told to shut up about it. So you put those three together, and I was like, well,
If not now, when? Eh?
yes, exactly. But there were times that were really hard, and I rarely cried, and I was always trying to show strength. And I remember you and I were having coffee, and I started to cry. I'm going to cry now. And you were like, it's because you feel safe.
Yes.
And it's because so many institutions don't make you feel safe, and you're fighting.
Yes.
Fighting for that, survival or validation or
Yeah. Well, as far as I'm concerned, when you fought the system, you won, no matter what other people think.
Yeah.
And it's well known that given what's happened in the Middle East and given what's happening in Australia and our position and all that's happened in the global and local ecosystem, there's very few people who actually stand up to the system. And when I've always said, you've won if you stand up to the system, if you stand up for what you believe in, and that's something to be admired. And that's why I was asking you, like, what were you thinking at the time? Because a lot of people go through that period of time and say, well, if I'd like to, but I need to eat. I need to pay.
No, so I did lose work and I did lose money, and it was during the cost of living crisis.
Yeah.
So it definitely impacted me and my family. I have a very wonderfully supportive husband, but also the public rallied behind me.
Yeah, they certainly did. Yeah.
And that's
Muslim or not.
Mainly not.
Mainly
not, because you see the names of the donations on my GoFundMe, and I can tell who they are. And so I think it was the enormous amount of public support and the generosity of people that really made me go, okay, no, I think what I'm doing is important. And I had always said to my legal team, who at many times kind of looked at me and were like, 99% of our clients wouldn't, do this or take this route, or they would have taken this exit, or they would have taken.
Well, because they, just to be very clear, they threatened you. The legal team threatened you. The ABC threatened you. They said you could not win, or you will win, or we'll do this to you. That, just to be clear, and then you withstood that.
Yeah, there's you know the legal system better than I do, but there were so many different points at which there was, and apparently this is not intimidation or bullying. This is just litigation. The way litigation works. This is lawfare.
This is lawfare.
At some points I'd be like, but that's unfair, and that's bullying, and why are they suggesting that? And my lawyer would be like, well, this is litigation, Antoinette. It's and they can do this, or they can suggest that, or they can make a veiled threat about this. But I had always said to my lawyers, I don't know what you need to do, but we just need to get in court.
Yes.
Because I know as soon as I get in court, I walk up those stairs, that I have won.
Yes.
Actually, even just taking on even if we didn't get to court, but I was like, I just need to get in the courtroom and whatever happens.
And not to be smeared by
And just get all of the emails and get all of the evidence and get me on the stand and get them on the stand. And that is all I need. Whatever happens for me, that is a win. And then at that point, I was really satisfied that the horrible journey to get there was worth it. And even afterwards, it took about a few weeks. To be fair, I was shell-shocked.
Yes.
I was like, somebody asked me, would you have posted that Human Rights Watch post again? Would you have? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, you'd do it again.
I would do it again.
Yeah, and I admire that. I admire that's the uncommon ground that I keep talking about, because it is really tough to do that. Everybody's tough when the going is good or it's okay. But when you got 90-10 the other way, it takes a special kind of person to look at all the matrix, all the red dots, and say, I'm doing it anyway. And I got to commend you for that. Because we don't have time to cover it today, but there was so many different points where the pressure was mounting and the exit could have went that way, and it would have been okay in the public sphere. You would have fought and defended. But I think, given what's happened to management at the ABC, the board of the ABC, and all that's happened, I think you've won the day you went to court. As far as
and that's how I felt. But I don't want to also minimize the immense mental toll that it takes. The physical toll, the financial toll, the emotional toll.
The psychological safety. That's self-esteem.
There were cars that I thought were following me. I started getting paranoid in public. I'd had huge amounts of threats leveled against me. I worried about my children's safety.
Of course,
So it's nice when you come out the other side and be like, oh, I'll do it again.
Yeah, sure.
But there were many moments where I was like, I want to
and I know some, but I want just one last question on that. And there was one incident where you were threatened, the one you reported as 11th February stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit more about that, because that actually happened.
Yes. So I would on Twitter and in my Instagram inbox, I'd get lots of stuff. And I got used to kind of just go, whatever. If your handle ends in like ZZ69 and you've got no profile picture, whatever, you're a bot or you're a gutless jerk. This came to my personal email address. I don't know how this person got my personal email address, and it had a name and an email address. I can't remember the specific words, but it was essentially that I was a terrorist, that I wasn't really an Australian, that I deserved to die, that I should go back to Gaza. So this guy thinks I'm Palestinian.
Right.
Said a few other things which made me think, and he'd hoped that I would burn, he wants me to die and burn in a tent, and I'm dead, I'm done, or something like that. I can't remember, but there was something that particular day. I don't know what it was. Maybe because it came to my personal email account. Maybe I was, maybe because he was so descriptive in the things he wants to happen to me, or maybe I just had enough that day.
Right.
Like
that was it.
And I was like, that's it.
Yeah. So you reported it to Islamophobia
Register? I reported to Islamophobia Register. They kind of triaged it, and they called me and said, got some more information. Would you like us to take it to New South Wales Police? I was like, sure. Yeah. And in part of me wanted to test the process and the system, because I had also done some other research with Media Diversity Australia, which showed diverse journalists, and by diverse, if they're women, if they've got a disability, if they're First Nations, if they're queer, you tend to get more hate because they'll make sexualized, racialized.
Yeah. Sure.
Like you've got added layers of the hate you get. And so I knew in the research that it showed that often these fears are minimized.
Right.
Or you're told, well, what did you do first? And it was kind of a test case. But the sergeant that got in touch was from the hate crimes unit. He called a couple of months later. Yeah. He's, hi, Antoinette, it's Sergeant so-and-so. Yeah. I'm like, oh, at this point, anything goes in my life. And I was just like, oh, what's this one? What's this?
Yeah. I'm not being arrested.
I'm like, I don't know what's happened at this point. And then he's like, we believe we've identified the man.
Oh, wow.
And we believe we have enough for an arrest. And I would like you to come in and make a formal statement.
Right.
And so I went in to make a formal statement. And as I was there, I was like, oh, is this going to invite another level of hate?
Yes.
Do I really want to go through with it? Maybe he was drunk. Maybe he was. I started making all these excuses. Was he really going to come and hurt me?
Yeah.
And then the cop said something to me, which I'm really thankful for. He said, look, I don't know much about this guy. He doesn't have he's 61. He lives in regional New South Wales. He doesn't have a criminal record. But what I can say about domestic violence and violence against women, when we do end up prosecuting a guy or going after someone because they've committed a heinous crime, they usually have a record of violence online.
Right.
Threats online.
Yeah.
And at that point I was like, okay, I can't minimize this
Yeah.
because maybe he
So he'll
won't
do it
hurt
to someone
me.
else.
He might do it to someone else.
Right. Okay.
And at that point, I was like, okay, I signed it.
Yeah. And did he get arrested?
He got arrested.
Yeah.
He pled guilty.
Uh-huh.
He was charged. He served a community sentence. So I didn't want him to go to prison.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is,
I still, but even going through that.
it's real. Like, there's
Yeah.
hate, there's campaign, there's legal pressure, there's financial pressure, there's also personal pressure
Yeah.
and personal safety. This guy's threatening you as a real person,
Yeah.
making detailed threats to your email, got arrested and charged.
Yeah.
So, and that, again, is grit. And, because when you invite that kind of challenge, you don't know what's going to come.
No. And thankfully, the police officer said, we're going to try and really dot all our I's and cross our T's so that when we get it to court, a lot of these things get thrown out.
Yeah.
I could tell they were gunning for a prosecution.
Right, yeah.
And I think that was probably politically strategic for them as well to be like, look, we do take this seriously.
Hate crimes as well.
Hate crimes.
Link on with your reputation.
Hate
and
crimes,
drama.
violence against women. Like this all politically works for the police to be seen to be. And in my case, it worked. I'm not going to, I don't know that we can unpack problems of policing in many other areas, but in my case, it worked. It
We're really
helped.
thankful for the police. They did a good job. Well done.
I was,
Yeah,
and I shared my story, and then I encouraged other people. And the amount of other people who have since said, I've gone to the police, I've had a man arrested, or I've had a person arrested. Not always a man, usually, but not always a man.
Yeah.
And so I know that there is a flow-on effect. And
which is a good thing. Which goes to the question about, you and I were talking about recently, is like, so how do you feel about the system? I mean, can you fix it from the inside? Can you do something? Or stuff it? Is it just all stuff? Like, it's unfixable. And I guess, my answer is you got to be in the system to try and fix it when I'm feeling well, when I'm not feeling so great and under siege. You even with privileged lifestyles that we both lead, so to speak, it goes, what are you feeling today? Are you in the system or out of the system?
Well, I mean, I was firmly in the system as a mainstream media journalist for many, many years. I started a not-for-profit to try and make changes within the system. I kind of half stepped out of it as a freelancer and a talent.
Yeah.
But then I took on the system with another system.
Yeah.
Which is the courts.
Yes.
And some would argue that, and in many ways, it's fraught with its own problems.
Of course.
And then I took on another system, I took on a hater with another system, policing.
Yes, that's right.
So if you're really against the systems, I mean, how do you operate?
Yeah. Well, we are operating in the system.
We're
right?
operating in the system with a healthy dose of skepticism, understanding how it works against those who are marginalised. Yeah, eyes wide open. Yeah. But it's a system that has helped.
So we're talking
in
about
many ways.
The system, like the system itself as a general is working. I mean, he got charged, he got arrested, he got charged. There's a court process to try and determine
and
some of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So
I'm probably less optimistic about change within it if you are fully immersed in it.
Of course.
I've got to a point in my career, as have you, where you have become an independent businessman, a philanthropist, a thinker. I was already on that trajectory, but the last 2 years have kind of, I guess, expedited my, like, I am Antoinette Lattouf.
Yes, that's me, and I'm independent and separate, but I will engage. So talking about Antoinette Lattouf, if you were walking into a newsroom and you found a young Antoinette Lattouf and you had your opportunity to whisper something in her ear, just remember this. What would it be?
Couple of things. I'd say don't overpluck your eyebrows because you'll regret it later. Okay. I would also say being yourself and being different is your superpower, and you've just got to lean into it. Because when I lent into who I always was, back when I was interested a little bit in politics, I was that rebel with a cause.
Yes.
And I think I tried to sanitize myself.
Try to fit in.
I tried to fit in. It's just like in the schoolyard, like we did with our lunches.
Of course,
and so once you're really yourself, then you can make decisions. And then, and like I had said earlier, what I did again, you do it. That's because I was fully within myself and fully backing my skills and my perspective and my power and my views.
Yeah.
And that's what I would wish.
Cool. So, Antoinette, I have 3 questions I ask all my guests. I'm going to ask you them, and if you can answer them without thinking too much.
Okay.
First thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
First one is, what is the biggest myth or misconception about you?
I don't know if it's a myth, more a misconception, or people don't know I'm a mother. A lot of people don't realize that I have children. I keep them out of public eye. And so, yeah, people don't know. I'm a regular soccer mum who does all the boring things as well.
Okay, cool. What's your guilty pastime?
I think it would surprise people that I read trashy romance novels every night to bed. That's what makes me fall asleep. Nothing intellectual, nothing heavy, nothing deep. I would probably have to hide the covers from people. They'll be mortified.
Okay. And what's the one thing that you can't live without?
I mean, other than the people I love, it sounds so silly, but exercise. Exercise, I think, has literally kept me alive in my hardest mental health struggles. Exercise has been a really key ingredient to keeping me afloat.
Cool. Well, look, thank you, Antoinette, for coming to see us at Uncommon Ground.
Anytime.
Really love the conversation. And I guess let's wait and see how the story keeps progressing and how you change the face of Australia, to be frank. And
oh gosh, no pressure.
No pressure at all. Like, you've just taken on the government and its instrumentality. So yeah, no pressure at all.
Oh, thanks, Talal.
Thank you. Thanks, Antoinette. Thanks for listening. If you've got something out of this conversation, I encourage you to share it, rate it, or leave a review. It really helps others find the show. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that button on your podcast app or on YouTube at Talal Hussein. We drop new episodes every fortnight, each one a deep dive with someone who isn't afraid to speak their mind and stand their ground. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and don't be afraid to challenge the status quo.